Initials MJ, Sydney, Australia.
Use it from your phone. It's going to jam.
What is your favorite resource for Takhrij al-Hadith?
Question comes from the land down under, Sydney. What is your favorite resource for Takhrij al-Hadith? If I had to pick one, I would say Nasb al-Raya lil-Hafidh al-Zayla'i, rahimahullah. If I had to pick one. And that's one of my favorite books. Wallahu alam. Fadl. Ahmed, please.
Initials TA, Skokie, Illinois. Is it halal to do astral projection where you intentionally force out of body an out of body experience of your soul and roam around in your soul while your body is asleep?
Forcing an out-of-body experience? I don't have no knowledge of that, so I couldn't give you an answer. Is that possible? Do you actually have an out-of-body experience? Can the soul be taken out of the body at will when you want to? Is that possible? Is that from the power of the human being? You may think you're out of the body, so on and so forth. Allahu alam.
Initial ZF on the UK. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. In a nikah situation, can the bride side gift the groom to create a bond and congratulate, or is it classed as a male dowry and forbidden?
Tight. With regards to the bride side giving a gift, is that permissible to make the bond, etc.? There's nothing wrong with that. Tahabu. Narration says, give gifts and you love each other. It's khair, inshallah. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not the sadaq. It's not the sadaq. It's a gift. A gift. That's khair, inshallah.
Initials OR, Springfield, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Do you know of any Islamic cures to sickness like flu and the likes?
Specific people? Or cures or cures?
Cures.
Islamic cures to flu, so on and so forth. Well, we've explained in detail what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said regarding the Fatiha and the Quran being a shifa. Those who know about it, know about it. And those who don't know about it, don't know about it. How can the Quran cure me from a sickness or an illness? Allahu alam. Allah said He sends down the Quran as a shifa and a mercy for those who believe. So that's first and foremost. The recitation of the Quran. The recitation of Surah Fatiha. Alright? The adhkar from Quran and Sunnah in general. Does it work on you? How you do it? When you do it? Allah allowed it. Al-Muhim, Allah said it's a cure. Alright? As far as the Prophet's medicine, then we have to understand, as we've explained before, that much of the Prophet's medicine, or the Prophet's medicine is two main types. The first main type is that which the Prophet says has a barakah in it, has a shifa in it, has khair in it, and that there's something supernatural and divine behind this cure and this medicine. It came from Jannah, it cures everything, Jibreel gave it to me, Allah sent it down, etc. And then there's the other type of the Prophet's medicine, quote unquote, which is the medicine of the Arabs of Arabia of the 5th, 6th, 7th century, which much of it was taken from Greece and the Greeks and the Indians and the Persians, etc. So oftentimes people, they say Arab medicine. I'm sure there are certain things that were made there in Arabia, but many things were imported from different countries, different people, different races. That's a fact. And an example of this, people say an Arabian sword. That's an Arabian sword. Is there such thing as an Arabian sword? Did Arabs come and design and create and forge their own sword? Or is an Arabian sword nothing more than a Persian sword that was adopted by the Arabs? The steel was forged in India, and it went from India to the Arabian Peninsula, etc. So oftentimes the Prophet's medicine is not something that's spiritual, but it's the medicine, diet, whatever that was known to them, whether it works for you or doesn't. All right, and it's very important to get rid of these misconceptions. Many people, they think that anything mentioned in the Prophet's medicine is automatically a cure, or it's automatically the best medicine. That's not necessarily true, because as much of what the Prophet ﷺ did, that was normal stuff, and which was no religion or spirituality connected to it. And the same applies to different types of clothing, the turban and other things, which is not religious thing, even though it became iconic and symbolic to Arabs and to the religion, etc. You guys got this? All right. So therefore, people today have different schools of thought with regards to medicine, with regards to treatment. Some people use this and that and breathing and etc. etc. It's a very long discussion. Was that whatever's in the boundaries of the Quran and Sunnah, use it. And of course, it's going to differ from person to person. It's going to differ from person to person. And my last piece of advice with regards to cold and flu and these things like this, COVID, cancer, diabetes, etc. Let me ask all of the Muslims, including myself, is don't stick with the holistic stuff, the natural stuff, the honey, the this, the that, the that. You stick with it, you stick with it, you stick with it. And then at the last minute, when it's too late, you go to the hospital. That's a problem. And unfortunately, I've seen many people do that and seen many people die like that. And death is inevitable no matter what. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Wherever you are, whoever you are. That's a fact. All right? However, you'll find someone, they'll have cancer, they'll have diabetes, I'm not going to the hospital, I'm going to drink this juice, I'm going to make this shake, I'm going to eat this fruit. No problem. I'm going to use this garlic, I'm going to use this natural thing. I don't want them to put that poison in my body. And that's fine. But the problem is, oftentimes you'll find them going back to the hospital when it's too late. And a year ago or 6 months ago, we could have put the poison in you and hypothetically bought you a couple extra years of your life. Hypothetically bought you 6 months, 2 months. And if you're dying, and of course we all want to meet Allah, we all want to go to Jannah, but life is sacred. And Allah has commanded us to preserve our lives and not to destroy ourselves recklessly. So if you have 2 more months to live, quote unquote, that 2 months you can do a ton of things. Get all your debts paid off. If you don't have a will, write a will. Make apologies to the people you hurt. Make amends with your children. I'm sorry, son, I wasn't there for you. Please, do you forgive me? I love you. I'm proud of you. Even though I didn't support you to go overseas, but I'm proud of you now. With 2 months, you can do a lot. 6 months, even if you're in a hospital bed, suffering because they gave you the surgery, you can still do a lot. You're alive. Versus natural, holistic. And then when everything fails and it's too late, then, take them to the emergency room. It's too late. And the people in the emergency are going to say it's too what? It's too late. You should have been come. So stick with one thing or stick with another thing. And that's the point I'm trying to get across. You understand what I'm saying? Wallahu alam.
Initials F.A. Detroit, Michigan. I commit many sins, but I'm trying to become a better Muslim. But people always be aggressive on me and tell me there's no point in doing good deeds or praying. Any advice?
Anyone who says that there's no point in doing good deeds, what's the point of doing good deeds? There's no benefit of doing good deeds, etc. You should not listen to them. Don't listen to anything that they say. Anyone who's telling you it's not a good idea, it's a bad idea to do good deeds, there's nothing to say to them or to listen to them. And there are kuffar that don't talk like this. Period. A kafir will tell you, give charity to the orphans. Be a nice person. What goes around, comes around. You're a positive person, an optimistic person. So how can a Muslim say there's no point in you trying to do the right thing? What type of speech is that? No matter what sin a person has done, it's always good in doing a good deed. And we've mentioned this in many classes in the khutbahs before, of people that were forgiven for doing good deeds even though they still had sins. And Allah knows best.
Abu Idris from Brooklyn, New York. What's the ruling of working as a real estate agent where buyers are using a mortgage?
A ruling on working as a real estate agent, and buyers are using a mortgage, etc. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. A rock and a hard place. The rock and the hard place, you know they're using a mortgage, but you're a real estate agent. Who's buying the house with cash? who's not using a mortgage in 2021, Muslim and non-Muslim alike. So if you sift out your customers who deal with mortgages, how many customers would you have at the end of the day? So it's a rock and a hard place. Muslims need real estate agents. That's a fact. What can you do? Ask Allah for help. And Allah knows best.
Initials TM, Ontario, Canada. What is the awrah of a woman in front of other women?
What's the awrah of a woman in front of another woman? I would say is that a woman's awrah should be like a man's awrah, meaning at different levels of awrah. There are things that can be seen but shouldn't be seen. And there are things that can be seen but should not be seen, but it's in the middle. And there are things which are absolutely prohibited and should not be revealed in front of a woman unless it's medical necessity. So therefore, according to what some scholars say, that a woman can show certain things in front of other women, Muslim or non-Muslim, it doesn't mean that that's the best thing. Just like a man. If your knee is not your awrah, which I don't believe a knee is awrah, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go outside wearing some Arthur Ashe tennis shorts. Or whoever else is playing tennis. Obviously, that was back in the day. There was a method, a parable we would make with someone with small shorts, skinny shorts on. All right? I'm not going to wear no shorts, and obviously they're probably shorter than that. Or back in the basketball, there you go. Perfect example. Julius Erving and all them. Back in the day, right? And they play with Converses and stuff. You're not going to go outside wearing those types of shorts. Even though one may say that the knee is not the awrah of a man. And the thigh is not the awrah of a man. But I'm not going to show you that unnecessarily. Period. It's just unnecessary. Now, you're over my house. We're on a road trip. We're in a hotel. I come into your hotel room late at night. We're overseas, a dollar trip. Everybody's, having fun, laughing and joking in the hotel room. People can't sleep. You come in with some basketball shorts and a shirt on. No big deal. Is that how you're going to go outside the hotel? To the masjid? Different story. Everyone understand this? So there are different levels of awrah. So therefore, a Muslim woman in front of other Muslim women, in general, she can show her head, her neck. She can show her hands. She can show her arms. She can show her feet, her shin, and things like this. As far as her saying that it's from the navel to the knee, the navel to the thigh, some scholars hold that view, saying that a woman could be topless with no bra, no shirt in front of another woman, whether they're in a sauna, washing up, whether a woman is breastfeeding, whether a woman is changing. Some ulama, they hold that view. But of course, if that doesn't have to be done, then that shouldn't be done. وهكذا. And in other scholars, they say that the awrah, هي سوءتان فحسب. The awrah is the two private areas. The sawatan. Period. That's it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to show you my leg and my thigh. That means I'm going to show you my navel. Even though technically I could if I had to. All right? So that's what I would say. That should be what a Muslim woman shows to another Muslim woman. And of course, there's a difference of opinion with regards to a Muslim woman showing things to a non-Muslim woman. أَوْ نِسَائِهِمْ, the verse says. Okay, Allah says, أَوْ نِسَائِهِمْ, they're women. All right? Wallahu alam.
Initials VT, Bronx, New York. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, Sheikh, what tea do we have today?
The tea today is a British tea. It's a British blend of green. It's not no fancy, organic type of, oolong or tea guardian or nothing like this. It's actually Ahmed tea. I don't have a problem having tea from a bag or box. And Ahmed tea is one of my favorite teas. It's a very fine tea. And I remember the first person to put me down with Ahmed tea was a British brother in Medina. He came over to my apartment. He was staying there for some time. And he brought his tea from the Jamia. I found it in the cabinet. It was Ahmed tea. So, of course, I was already, Ahmed. It says Ahmed, right? Did the artwork on the tea box. And I tried it out. And since then, I've loved Ahmed tea. So, therefore, today is a basic Ahmed green tea, which is a fine, sophisticated blend. Wallahu alam.
SS Manhattan, New York. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it allowed to shave the head of a baby girl on the 7th day?
Shaving the baby girl's head, some scholars say that that's what should be done. Just like a baby boy. Wallahu alam.
Initials M.N. Alexandria, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. A brother is constantly reflecting how the hereafter is forever, and it's hard for him to think of it. Any advice or words to him?
Someone who's thinking about the hereafter, he have to think about it in balance, in moderation. Okay? Quran and Sunnah talks about the dunya and our responsibilities and duties on this earth, in this dunya. So we can't go too far. Thinking about death abundantly, for sure. Thinking about death every single second, over and over and over again, it makes you depressed and down and out. I don't want nothing from this dunya. I want to leave this dunya. I hate this dunya. From my humble experiences in life, most people who talk like this normally suffer from mental problems. That's my humble experience. Most people who talk like that, the world's useless, it's worthless, I hate this dunya, I want to leave right now and immediately, they normally have some type of issue. Okay? So therefore, you have to be mindful that the Quran talks about death, Quran talks about Jannah, talks about Jahannam, and the Quran talks about this world. A big part of the Quran talks about hayat dunya. And we can't forget, guys, what the scholars of Islam say is that the hayat dunya is considered to be the day of harvest. The hayat dunya is the farm. That's when you toil and you work and you sweat. And the akhirah is the day of harvest. Yawma hasadihi. It's the day of harvest. So you have no harvest if you neglect and ignore the farm, which is the dunya. So you have to have the dunya. You're living in the dunya. So you have to think about the current as well. And Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد.